Bienvenidos, worldwide fans of the planet's hottest entertainment with an edge from a galaxy far, far away. Jaime En Fuego here, welcoming you to my namesake program, Enfuegotainment, for a special bit of discussion about the insane slew of announcements that came from Disney yesterday for their investors meeting. Bonkers, man. So much new Star Wars content, a new Star Wars movie announced, an update on another one, 10 new series in the works currently. They just bombarded, and that's not even including all of the, High Republic stuff that is still coming as far as novels, all the other Disney-related, the Marvel announcements, the Pixar announcements. It was crazy. I watched the entirety of it streamed online. It went for like 3.5 hours, so I'm going to get to that, but first and foremost, I had some technical issues with the previous episode of The Mandalorian, The Tragedy. We must talk about it because it brought on the return of none other than Mr. Badass himself, Boba Fett. There are a lot of people that were against the return of this character, and this is a spoilers discussion since it's been a week since this aired. I felt like it was finally time, as opposed to just doing another non-spoiler and all that, and I knew that there was going to be Star Wars announcements galore coming at this investors presentation and stuff. I was like, well, let's just hold off and just talk about the state of The Mandalorian as it creeps towards the end of its second season, and also just briefly touch on all of these different series that were announced. So this episode was awesome, man. I mean, Tamora Morrison actually coming back as the character, I feel like was one of the biggest things for so many people. I believe that's his name. But yeah, he played Django. They even redubbed his voice in for Boba in Empire. I know some people had issues with that, but I feel like people are finally becoming more okay with the prequels, especially after, at least in my estimation, I'm in the camp that thinks the sequel trilogy, after the retread Jurassic Worldiness that was Force Awakens, which was fun enough, then I felt like the series really lost its way. Central Vision, Kathleen Kennedy interference, everybody's talked about this. I've actually grown to enjoy Solo even more than Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, especially because of the fact that it at least did something relatively different, and that has quickly become my favorite era of Star Wars, is between the prequels and the original trilogy. It's when the Rebels TV series takes place. There's been, Rogue One, which is my favorite thing that Disney has done since taking over the property from George Lucas. And then recently Lucas was even talking about how he lamented selling the property without all of the stipulations of just, I guess, giving consultation and, things like that. So, hey, hindsight is always 20/20, but after the announcement of all of these shows and the eras they're going to explore and stuff, I'm totally with it. But, yeah, man, back to this episode, though. This is the era that they are probably going to be exploring significantly more with a few of these shows, most notably the Ahsoka show that was announced. Also, the Rangers of the High Republic. Damn, I'm trying to remember the name of that particular. They had such a massive slate. Acolyte. What else? Goodness Lord, it was so much stuff, man. Such an amazing slew of things. I'm just bringing that image back up real quick. But whoopsies. Yeah, man, daunting. But yeah, back to Mandalorian though. The fact that we saw the return of that bounty hunter chick who was after Boba. I'm trying to remember her name. Fennec? I want to say. I keep thinking Krennic, but that's obviously, I'm thinking Rogue One and stuff. But so basically her and Boba Fett catching up with Mando and Grogu. And there's that really cute line at the very beginning. Oh man, I was endeared immensely, where he's just like, Grogu, and he's like, huh? Grogu? And he's just looking at him. Oh, it was great. But so they go to this Jedi planet where he's going to send out this beacon, so to speak, that Jedi FaceTime, as some amusing people on the interwebs call it. But yeah, and presumably then you could see there's only a couple different Jedis presumably out there. I know there's the dude he was in the Ventress Dark Disciple. Man, his name is eluding me, at least off the top of my head. But he's one that we presume is out there somewhere, because at least his death, I don't believe, has been documented. I almost feel like I need to just check his name real quick. But, really, Ezra Miller is the person who we're all thinking is going to be the person, because, Ahsoka even mentions that she is after, Admiral Thrawn, and in the previous episode with Ahsoka, that was just such a big thing. God, what is his name? This is just going to kill me if I don't at least clarify it properly. Quinlan Vos, yes, that's right. Great character from the Clone Wars, and they expanded in this Dark Disciple. He's got this like romance kind of thing, and goes on with Ventress. Ventress has kind of a redemptive arc of sorts in this as well. It's funny, they did the same thing with her, and to a degree, at least, with Maul. Not quite the same, but they gave more gravitas and more anti-hero, softened the blow of those characters' demises and whatnot. But so Voss is one, but everybody's still thinking Ezra Miller. So the child, Grogu, as we are now calling him, he sends out this beacon, and of course, Moff Gideon and his forces are right on their asses, and they have tracked Mando because they had that tracker from earlier in the season that was put on his ship on the Razor Crest, and so Razor Crest gets destroyed, but you have them, they're going to be romping around in Slave One now after Boba goes all kinds of like John Wick badassness, and this is where MVP to this, even more so than Tamura coming back, I really think has got to be Robert Rodriguez directing this episode, because he is so damn good, and I was harking back to the Desperado from Dusk Till Dawn, even Sin City to a degree. The Robert Rodriguez that I at least fell in love with, because those two Machete movies, well, they had some campy charm, and now I know he's doing more like Lava Girl and Shark Boy or whatever stuff. So I don't know. It was cool seeing him just get to cut loose, and I feel like they were like more on location in this. I mean, granted, it did very much look like somewhere in California, but nonetheless, I was all about it. And obviously, Grogu gets taken. It was tear-inducing. I mean, he's still back here with me, but he's going to have to be at least gone for the next review, at least, I'm assuming. I don't think they're going to get him back to the finale. And it is also, man, I cannot help but mention how awesome it was where Grogu is in the Moff Gideon custody, and obviously he's like throwing fools around and showing just how powerful he actually is. We're also to the point now where we can speculate his blood for his midichlorian count and how through the roof it is. He is being used to clone that. I mean, we don't know exactly what Snoke's. I mean, work towards getting the Emperor back along with some of his DNA. We don't necessarily know, but there's a lot of interesting theories floating around. But I'm kind of anticipating with Bill Burr being teased at the end of this episode. We find out that Cara Dune is a Marshal now of the New Republic, which is cool. She got a promotion. But I'm guessing with Bill Burr coming back, it's probably going to be like that heist episode, the Rick Famuyiwa, I believe is his name. Famuyiwa, that's it. He directed the hell out of that previous episode, but I just wasn't as into the story, and I believe Favreau wrote that story. I believe he is writing this episode and directing it, the next one, which is called The Believer, and that's going to be going up, that's today, as of, once we shift over into Pacific time, because I know the episode's been going up at midnight Pacific time, which is 1 a.m. for me here in Arizona. I'm obviously not recording that at this particular time, but all in all, this new episode, or the most recent episode before the one that's going to debut today, The Tragedy, it was great. It might be my favorite episode of the show, period, but definitely my favorite of the season. The Ahsoka and the Bo-Katan episodes both came really close, and I have a soft spot for the goofiness of Timothy Olyphantastic going against the Krayt Dragon and all that in the first episode, but yeah, Tragedy is in the elite, not just because of Bo, but because of how greatly it was directed, because of how much it furthered the storyline. And I know that there's been some criticism about how Mando was its own little pocket universe thing, and now it is very obviously, in my estimation at least, being used to combine the original trilogy with the sequel trilogy and fill in the gaps. But you gotta think, there's 30 years there, man, and this is only 5 years afterwards. So, very curious, but this is one of the few that I will give a 5 out of 5 Fuego Fireballs to. This was an Fuego episode. There's Certified Fuego, which is 4 out of 5, and then there's 5 out of 5, man. Whew, boy. I gotta take a sip of my coffee here because I'm just getting all hyped up, and let's just get it even crazier. But now let's just briefly touch on all of these different properties that they announced now. So we knew that there was more Mandalorian coming, a third season, and I think they're even, I don't know if they confirmed the fourth season just yet, but it's definitely coming. It's brought about a resurgence of Star Wars after kind of the ill will that Rise of Skywalker kind of left people with. But they announced 2 stories that are essentially going to tie in directly. There's the Ahsoka series, which pretty much everybody saw coming. And then there is Rangers of the New Republic. Now, that's the one we know a little bit less about, but I'm guessing it's going to be like stuff with those New Republic fighter guys that were earlier in this season, because I think they popped up in 2 episodes, if I remember. There was the Ice Planet episode, and then I know there was another instance, at least with one of those pilots, the Asian guy who talked to Kara's character about being on Alderaan and everybody being lost and all that different stuff. So I'm assuming that that's what Rangers of the New Republic is going to be, and it's going to take a peek probably into just more of what this new order of government is trying to do in the Imperials are on the more outskirts of the galaxy and stuff like that. But all 3 of these shows, from what they said at the presentation, are going to tie in together, which is kind of cool. So it's almost like what the CW did with Arrow and with Flash and, Legends of Tomorrow, all those shows, how they're in the same, universe of sorts. I guess Legends jumps into all kinds of universes and craziness, but all of those shows tied together. That's apparently a shared universe sort of thing that they are going to be doing with these 3 shows. So that's very exciting. Rose McGowan was terrific as Ahsoka. I do think that they've at least expanded enough. There's a reason why they would have a character. I'm really curious. I guess Boba is going to be in this new episode that comes out today, The Believer. But I don't know how much they're going to feature him, because I feel like until our former UFC lady made some disparaging comments that certain people disagreed with. I'm not here to get political, registered independent, but they were talking about her getting her own spinoff series at one point. I'm assuming that's not happening now with Ahsoka and with the Rangers of the New Republic. But the reason they would feature these characters in an episode, maybe 2, is because of the fact that they were probably all along, they're like, ha ha ha, where's the Bo-Katan show, man? I would imagine Bo-Katan will totally show up in the Ahsoka show, Katie Sackhoff making a return. So those 2, more Mando, so that's 3 out of the slate so far. We also got a actual kind of sizzle reel behind the scenes stuff with Diego Luna as Andor, Cassian Andor. This is the show I might be most excited about this one because of the fact that I adore Rogue One so much, and just exploring that gritty, just very formative era of the Rebellion. It's why I love Rebels so much. Could we get some Rebels characters? Could we have Kanan show up, man? I mean, in all feasibility, we probably could. Will we have Forrest Whitaker come back? Will we have? There's so much that they could do. Would they? It makes me wonder if they would give the little ponytail thing to Freddie Prinze and let him play Kanan. I would imagine maybe. Boy, if they tease an older Ezra here, but then again, this is so much later. I don't know. My mind is going in all sorts of different directions. But the Andor series, as they officially have titled it now, cannot wait. Also, the other show that we knew was happening, but they actually gave more confirmation, including one big drop of information, is we wondered if it was going to be called Obi-Wan or if it was going to be called just Kenobi or whatever. It's called Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi. That goes without saying, I guess. But yes, obviously the return of Homeboy is one of the biggest and most exciting things about this because, talking the best part of prequels in at least in my estimation, aside from people who champion Parks Mall, but he was, come on, man, Ewan McGregor, he was the man in this, and but the big bit of information that they dropped, and we know that this takes place, I believe they said it was 10 years after the end of Return of the Jedi and that nasty lava battle and whatnot, but Hayden Christensen is coming back for this, to play Vader. So it makes you wonder if it's going to be kind of a rebel situation where in that fight with Ahsoka, some of the mask was torn off and it looked like friggin', at least Anakin, but just evil with the eyes and stuff like we saw at the end of, Revenge of the Sith. So I'm honestly wondering if this is if he's going to be used in flashbacks and then they'll just have James Earl Jones still doing the voice work because he did do the voice work, in both Rogue One and in the Rebels TV show when he popped up there. So this is another thing where I wonder, could he show up as a Force Ghost in the Ahsoka series, with that taking place after the original trilogy and his redemption? I think Hayden Christensen was young. He was given terrible dialogue, and he wasn't directed very well. I am one of those people who, especially after he makes the dark turn in the third act of Revenge of the Sith, I'm all for him coming back for this. There's some people who just shit on his performance, but I don't think Portman was that good either. I mean, a lot of the there was just so much wrong with those, but as far as world building goes, I've really grown to appreciate. Most notably from the novels taking place during the Prequels era, the Clone Wars television series especially has done a lot for just redeeming that particular era. I don't know, man. I'm for giving Hayden another shake, and hopefully he could pop up in Ahsoka as well. I think that would be really cool. Another one that is also taking place in this beloved era of mine. This is where people are giving a little bit of shite, a little bit of hate for whatever reason, and that's Star Wars The Bad Batch. And it's basically a spin-off of those first couple episodes of the final season of Clone Wars that had those clones that looked very distinctive and unique. There was one that looked like Rambo. There was another one who was like the, tech savvy, whatever. And, Cody and Rex were kind of taken off guard by them initially, but they grew to accept them and whatnot. It was a backdoor pilot. They had been trying to work on The Bad Batch since those Lost episodes of the Clone Wars, the ones that were like just the animatics from before Disney even purchased the property and moved, like Rebels to, what was it, Disney XD or something? I don't know. I'm just now finishing Rebels after, just kind of taking my time through the timeline as far as, order of all of that, time and the progression of it towards, Yemen and whatnot. But, yeah, man, I'm actually pumped for this show. I know Filoni is not going to be as involved in this, presumably, as he was and stuff like that, but it can't be as bad as Resistance, right? That animation that he didn't have anything to do with, he's at least listed as an EP and a consultant, if I'm not mistaken, and some of the other Rebels and Clone Wars peeps are involved. So the animation looks good. The fact that Order 66 has transpired, and what do these peeps do? The trailer that we saw, you had a Tarkin so they're working with him at one particular point. It makes me wonder if they're going to be mercenaries that end up, will they be like wolves in sheep's clothing, so to speak? They'll act like they didn't, take out their little chips or whatever. I don't know. This is a show that I'm stoked for, and I feel like this is getting kind of a bad rap and kind of, just not getting the extent of the appreciation and the anticipation that it deserves. I just had one other thing that I needed to chime in about, because I know I was going to get hell if I forgot to mention it, but with so many titles, I neglected to mention Lando. That's right. But probably the project along with the Acolyte that we know the least about, along with those other two animated bits. We don't know if Childish Glover, Mr. Donald Gambino, is actually returning or not. We are hopeful. We don't even know if it's going to be animated or live action. They didn't really give any distinction aside from dude from Dear White People working on it. So I don't know. Could this be the show that focuses on the crime syndicates and so on, but has Lando at least as our main character? Maybe see Maul come back. Some of those other things that we had heard teases about. I can only speculate, just like all the rest of us, because this was one of those projects that Kathleen Kennedy just glossed over really quickly. So, dude, Donald Glover was one of the best parts as Lando about that solo film, so bring it on if possible. He hinted at big projects in the future on his Twitter, but that was like a number of months ago. So, I don't know. Hopeful that is the case, and hopeful that it's live action, but I guess only time will tell. Two other animated bits that we know very little about. We've got Star Wars: A Droid Story. This is apparently going to be a C-3PO and R2-D2 little short adventure of sorts. I'm wondering if Daniels is going to come back and do the voice work for C-3PO. I'm certainly hopeful, but there are very talented voice actors, especially in the audiobooks and dramas and stuff that I've listened to so many of at this particular point. They can handle it. If not, but I would still like to see him return. I'm trying to remember if this is going to be short form, very, very short form, 8 to 10 minutes, because they've done a lot of short form content on Disney Plus. The girl-centric bit that they did, which just focused on all of our awesome female heroes and stuff over the years. Not sure if it's going to be that short form, but so that's one that we know very, very little about. Same with Star Wars Visions, and Star Wars Visions is apparently consulting tons of different just greats and up and comers in the world of anime. So Japanese animation, and they're going to be telling these little individual stories in that visual style. I am pumped as hell for that because I'm a big fan of anime. Whether it's Berserk or Gungrave or Vampire Hunter D or whatever it may be. Obviously Bebop, and there's various others. Parasite's a recent one that I watched for the horror show that was really good. But this is another one that we know very, very little about, and so I'm anticipating it. But I look forward to getting more details about just the slew of creatives that they are consulting to tell these little contained stories. That's pretty exciting. Last but not least, we have the presumed tie-in. So this is from the creator of Russian Doll, and I know a lot of people dug the hell out of, and nobody really knew what they were doing with it as far as when it was going to be set time period-wise, but upon the announcement, it makes the most sense. It's called The Acolyte, and it's going to be presumably focusing on a Sith-centric character of some sort, and it's going to be taking place during the High Republic era. Now, this is about 100 years before the beginning of the prequels, if I'm not mistaken. And it's what all of these new novels and comics and stuff that they are pushing they basically are trying to flesh out this era where the Jedi ruled and the galaxy was seemingly peaceful. It was like thousands of years before when the Sith ruled, like old Republic status and everything. So the High Republic, this is going to be just at the prominence, but focusing. It's supposed to have like this mystery thriller-esque sort of approach. And I haven't watched any Russian Doll, but I have a lot of friends that have praised it immensely for just its dark sort of approach to its subject matter. Also makes me wonder if this is going to be like a Ventress sort of situation where it's going to be, focusing on a Sith apprentice of some sort that is, that is a lady that is female, and so it'll just a gender neutrality could be intriguing there as well. But this is the one that since I haven't checked out any of those books, I think they delayed all three of them till 2021. I've got a couple on pre-order on my Audible, so just getting an understanding for this era of Star Wars, which has never really been explored, is going to be pretty fun. So I'm looking forward to that. Speaking of another very talented lady, as we round out just my thoughts on all of this, we knew that Taika was working on a Star Wars film. He, according to Kathleen Kennedy, hard at work and it's coming, but they did not announce a release date yet. What they did announce a release date for, and I believe it's not till December of 2023, if I remember correctly. But Patty Jenkins, that's right, Ms. Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 84 herself has been lured over by the mouse from over at Warner Brothers and is making a Rogue Squadron movie. This is dope, and she had a little teaser thing that she did on Twitter that was honestly genuinely inspiring and kind of heart-wrenching to a degree. She talked about the fact that when she was very young, her father was a fighter pilot, and she was on base and would see him just taking off and the different planes taking off and stuff like that, and it was awe-inspiring and some of the most just incredible things that she had ever witnessed in her life, and she'd always wanted to make a fighter pilot sort of film, and now this is her opportunity to do that. Man, I know they did so many Rogue Squadron and X-Wing versus TIE Fighter and all that different stuff, whether it was video games, which I played a few of, or whether it was a lot of different comics and novels and what is now Legends. And so I wonder the specific period within presumably the original trilogy that this will take place, but I'm all for it, especially if we kind of de-emphasize please don't put in CGI Leia or anything of that nature. But I mean, you could have a Magma here. I mean, there's lots of different things that I think you could with more supporting characters. Not any of the biggies than Skywalker and Solo and guys like that. If this has Wedge in it to some degree, this could be really dope. Or is this going to be another one that is that within the New Republic era? I kind of doubt it, but you never know. I don't know. In any event, Patty Jenkins doing a Star Wars movie. Count me in. I am so stoked. So that is quite a slate. There's also new Indiana Jones. There's the Willow series. Damn. Disney is, it was a very impressive announcement. But I gotta go watch The Believer, that new Mando episode, and film a review about that. I will definitely be putting this up first. But what were all of your thoughts on this amazing, just slew of announcements? Are they overstuffing the turkey? Are they doing too much? Or is do you think, like me, that Star Wars resides, at least currently, better and with expanded storytelling on the small screen? Give me some thoughts in the comments below. But I've been Jaime En Fuego, and you can find me on all social media sectors: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, here on YouTube. A like, a share, a subscribe means a hell of a lot. And yeah, lots of Star Wars coverage here, including reviews of that aforementioned Dark Disciple, some of those Lost Clone Wars episode animatics, lots of other books, man. I mean, Master and Apprentice, the both of the Padme novels and stuff like that. So yes, all of the films reviewed here as well. So give that a gander, like, share, subscribe, and also check out youtube.com/The Horror Show channel for more stuff from me, Cecil, Susie, Robert, Marsha. If you like spooktacular stuff, definitely jump over there. So, I'm Enfuego, y'all been rad status, and until the reel of Ka comes around once more, hasta luego, Cinemigos. Constant readers, viewers alike, say thank you for a bit of your time today, but I hope that we share more Star Wars palaver sooner rather than later, and obviously, till then, watch and read more from a galaxy far, far away, and may the Force be with you, because this is the way.